Leading off starts right now. I am Chris Welsh. That is Andrew Seifter, and we are here to talk to you about all the baseball happenings with the Peanuts and Cracker Jacks. I am feeling a little bit better. I'm not looking any better. But Andrew, I'm glad to have you here, your first Thursday episode.
Yeah, thanks for having me back again. It's fun to get make my Thursday debut, and I'm here in my parents' attic in Massachusetts. They say fantasy managers usually live in their parents' basement, right? So I'm in the attic. I don't, but I'm happy enough there.
I forgot about that. Yeah, so yeah, you're living the quintessential fantasy life right now in your parents' attic or basement. Is that a bookshelf I see behind?
Yeah, if you look in the corner over my other shoulder, you can maybe even see Albert Einstein. He's riding a bicycle there as well. So it's definitely
Wow.
got its attic vibes going.
Okay, but is it haunted? Because that's the
He's
vibe I get from attics. I get a little haunted vibe.
maybe so, maybe so. It depends how you feel about books, I guess.
What's scarier, an attic or a basement? This is a great question. I think this is the ultimate question because I feel like an attic is more haunted, but a basement is just scarier.
Yeah, I'm going basement because I feel like your chance of running into some sort of animal that you don't want to see, like a rat or something, or some sort of bugs,
Ooh, okay.
is a lot higher in that environment.
Okay, I'd love to know. Chat, what do you think? Basement or attic? That's a good point. I hadn't thought about the animals. I was really thinking about poltergeist, but that's where my brain goes to. Lots of baseball to cover. Let's get into the top stuff. Mariners George Kirby got to a rare feat by starting a game with 20 or starting 24 straight games with a strike, which I know is kind of like a weird stat, but it also just shows you how consistent he has been throughout the year. Also, his teammate uh, Julio Rodriguez got to the 2020 club. And by the way, the futures odds on like pretty much everything but rookie of the year is almost laughable at this point. It's Julio, it's a little bit of Adley, and it's 3,500 for Bobby Witt on the other side. But getting back into it, George Kirby's only picked up 5 wins this year, but has a 3.32 ERA, has a better xFIP, an almost 10K per nine, 9.4, an elite walk per nine at 1.2. And I got to tell you, be it a rookie or not, George Kirby is showing all the stuff he did as a prospect in that he's got all the command that made us love him. He's showing strikeouts, and he looks like he could be a big time viable, maybe top 25 SP, top 30 next year. What do you think about George Kirby rest of the year?
Oh yeah, I'm totally on board. I honestly, this he's like Rodney Dangerfield. He gets no respect. Like I don't understand why his roster rates are so low. I wrote about this in my intro to my waiver wire piece at Fantasy Pros 2 weeks ago. At that time, his roster rate was at 48% in Yahoo, and I couldn't believe it was that low. And I made him the top guy just for that reason. It's only 57% now, even after this great outing. So this is a guy who was like a top 30 prospect. All the like you said, all the peripherals back up the performance that he's done up to this point. Pitches in a good environment, great control, like you said. I mean, that walk rate really gives you a nice margin for error, even if you have some run into some bad BABIP luck in a start here or there. So, yeah, I love this guy, and I don't understand why he's not like 80, 90% rostered.
This is what I've always loved about him. I've always been big on him and prospects. He almost has a 4 pitch repertoire of like double digits. His fastball's been sitting around 95. His slider, he's throwing 20% of the time. There's your wipeout strikeout pitch. He's throwing around 87. I mean, almost 88. You're closing in 90 is at elite slider territory as far as velocity goes. And the curveball has been on point. And, for a guy his age to be throwing a walk rate of only like one, under 1.5. It's elite. It's elite that you don't see young pitchers do, and I think we don't give him enough kudos. And then obviously, Julio, but hitting the 2020 marker, I think they had said the last Mariner to do that was Mike Cameron, who actually coaches with the Mariners and works with them. The Rays manager Kevin Cash said that Wander Franco will not resume his minor league rehab assignment before next week. Franco suffered a setback with the surgically repaired right hand wrist while making a rehab stint on Tuesday, and it is looking less and less likely that we are going to get him anytime soon, which begs the question. I know it's crazy. How much do you need to hold on to Wander Franco at this point? If he's not going to even resume anything until next week, that gets you into September. Then he's going to have to get some games another weekend. Look at the lack of production he had before he got injured. Andrew, do you think Wander Franco is a must hold in any type of a redraft league right now?
I do not. I was sort of out on Franco even coming into the season. I mean, Obviously a tremendous prospect, and he's got one of the best hit tools we've seen from a young player in a really long time. So I think he's a great real life player. I think he's still got some steps he needs to take in his game before it fully translates to fantasy. I mean, if he's not giving you that category juice in power and in speed, then he's not really in a standard 5x5 league going to be as valuable in fantasy as he is in reality. And then you bring in a hand injury. I mean, even if he does come back, that can often sap power.
Yep.
So any power he could have hit for, he's probably not going to now. He's got a very bright future. He could take his game to the next level in the next couple of years, but in a redraft format, I really just don't see the benefit of holding on to him.
Yeah, I don't think there is if anyone is dealing with that. The 260 batting average, 5 homers, 5 stolen bases. I feel like the majority of it came in that first month of the season, and almost 100% differential on his WOBA. 303 this year. I'm sorry, 305 this year, 404 last year. Or that's actually, no, I'm sorry, that's in AAA. What was it? Last year it was 348. So you've still got a huge differential there. It's just not a must hold. There's not a must hold for Wander Franco if you are dealing with that. And then, yes, of course, the biggest piece of news that everybody wants to talk about, Oneil Cruz hit a ball 122 miles an hour, the hardest hit in StatCast era. I think it was one of 2 hits in the last 2 weeks for the awesome player that's going on for this season. Hardest hit ball was a single. It smashed against the wall and bounced back. And, I don't know what to say anymore. I continue my thing. He's got maybe some of the most exciting tools in all of baseball. Beyond this year, he is exciting as hell. This year, he's not that great. Sub 200 batting average, guys, don't help you that much. I'm going to stand firm to it for all the Oneil Cruz stands. You can't come at me next year because I've said I'm all game. I'm game in the future. I'll draft him. But this year was stupid, but he did hit the hardest tracked ball in StatCast era, Andrew.
Let me ask you a question, though. So in a dynasty league, who would you prefer, Oneil Cruz or Wander Franco?
That's a great question. I would prefer Franco still, but I get why it's closer. Oneil Cruz is showing no ability to hit for batting average. I mean, he's showing absolutely nothing. He's hitting a $199 right now. He has a almost 39% K rate, and he's had over 200 plate appearances. So let's not be like, it's got the skills and blah, blah, blah. 200 plate appearances and almost 39% K rate. I love the counting stats. 10 homers, 6 stolen bases. It's great. We can extrapolate. We could, hey, this could be a 30-15 guy. He's got to show the ability to hit for contact. And not only is he not doing it this year, he's doing it at maybe one of the worst clips. Sub 200, horrible strike rate. I think he's a huge bet on. And when it gets kind of fixed, I think it'll be better. But I would bet on Wander Franco. I think Wander's counting stats are going to catch up to him. But I also don't think they could reach Cruz's level. But I think Cruz is looking like he is a 2 to maybe 3 category player, where Franco still has a 5 category in him. It might not be at the same elite level. Are you Cruz over Franco?
Honestly, I think if it's a league where stolen bases matter, I'm still kind of leaning with Cruz here. I mean, the thing is, I agree with you. He doesn't look ready for the major leagues at all. But if you look at his minor league numbers, I mean, he had a strikeout rate in the 22-23% range in the minors. So that wasn't outrageously bad. I mean, this is a team going nowhere that kind of rushed him up. And I feel like we can't see, a 39% strikeout rate and say that like he's always going to be that. I think there's as much of a chance that he makes inroads there is that Franco makes inroads in terms of power. So for that reason, like if you wanted to tell me who's the safer bet to play 20 years in the major leagues and be a really good baseball player, I would obviously say Wander Franco. But if you're telling me in a 5x5 league, I need that category juice, who's the guy that's got the upside to be like the number 1 player in fantasy? To me, that's got to be Oneil Cruz. And I guess I just like to shoot for the moon there.
Yeah, I guess it's just it's so extreme. I have a hard time with it, but I get what you're saying. Wander Franco, I've watched him for a long time. I think there is, but like you said, there might be 20-20 in there. Conditioning has got to be an issue he's got to consider. It's so funny how, especially like in the prospect world, they do this. But you want to come over here. You never see passes for bad strikeout rates. You never see passes for batting average unless your name is Oneil Cruz. He's getting all the passes in the world. Like I have a hard time believing, Andrew, that you're somebody that would give any other player passes on a 30+% K percentage. But yet he does because he's a young guy and he hasn't had enough years under his belt to prove otherwise. But it's a 39% K rate. That's bonkers.
It is bonkers. But I mean, we've seen guys like Javi Baez, Adalis Garcia, guys like this have really high strikeout rates and still be really good in fantasy because of the category juice they provide. So he doesn't need to get that strikeout rate down to like 23% like he had in the minors to be really valuable. If he can even get it into the 30% range, I think you're talking about a guy who could be really useful.
Yeah, but what the weird thing is the last thing on that. The weird thing that exists with him, this is one of those guys where it's like, God, he would love to like go and get him right now. But even though he's like statistically looking like one of the worst players in baseball right now with a sub 200 and the K rate, he's not available. Like no one will sell you him for any cheap. So you have to be the person that's willing to risk a high dollar cost to get him and just cross those fingers. Just really hope that the K rate is going to drop to a sustainable area and he'll start actually hitting for more contact, because when he does, it's amazing. I would love to buy on him because I think he is a great potential bet for any fix. It's just he's not cheap. There's huge red flag warning signs, and it's not that great for this year.
Yeah, I totally can buy what you're saying. He could easily be overvalued in the marketplace just because you do see things like this hardest hit ball ever, and you just dream about the potential. So that's absolutely true. I feel like it's like the same thing with
was too in the minors. I just want to point out.
Yeah. It's like the same thing with like, in football or something. The coaches always draft the skills because they believe they can coach the guy up and teach him the fundamentals if they have the natural ability, because you can't teach that, So I feel like fantasy managers are the same way when it comes to O'Neal Cruz. It's like he's got the tools. He just needs to develop the fundamentals.
Do you think you can help him with that? And by the way, do you think the Pirates are a team that are going to be able to help him?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe not.
I don't know. On the injury front, Jared Walsh placed on the 10-day IL with thoracic outlet syndrome. No bueno, not good. Xander Bogaerts sat out Wednesday after leaving Tuesday's game with back spasms. Tommy Pham sat out Wednesday with low back spasms, a lot of back stuff, after slamming into the wall on Tuesday. Wilson Contreras sat out again yesterday with left ankle stiffness, but there's hope that he's not going to land on the IL. Javi Baez sat out with back spasms. Gus McCormick suffered a dislocated pinky, ouch, and Royals relief pitcher Josh Staumont placed on the 15-day IL with right bicep tendonitis. By the way, when you were saying those guys that were similar to him, did you have like a moment of clarity of like you just compared him to Javi Baez and where Javi Baez is right now? And who was the other one? There was another one where I was like,
Adalis Garcia. He's having a great season, actually.
Yeah, Adalis is like a better. I mean, those guys are like almost polar opposites. Adalis is like 5'10" in real life. I've stood next to him, and O'Neal Cruz is a completely different type of physical player. But
yeah, I was saying like that's he could be good even if he doesn't fully blossom, because that's like those guys are flawed players. Like that's assuming that Cruz never fully puts it all together. I'm saying he could still be pretty valuable.
Yeah, exactly. Wonky. This is my favorite thing. Is Cruz tall? He's right. And by the way, look at this. Joey P doing a live football show on Fantasy Pros the same time we're doing this. What a turncoat. What an absolute scab turncoat. He has given up on all of you. I have not. Oh,
well, you got me instead now, so you should be happy, right?
Oh, Joe Pisapia. Give me a break. This day in baseball, 1986. I was 3 years old. Oakland A's third baseman Mark McGwire hits his first major league home run, a 550-foot blast to center off of Walt Terrell as Oakland beat Detroit 8-4 at Tiger Stadium. I grew up loving Mark McGwire. I grew up in the Bay Area. My whole family were A's fans. My uncle, shout out to my uncle, who is in the hospital right now. He used to run a pool business, and he did Mark McGwire's pool. And he got to one time sit down and hang out with Mark McGwire, and they knew like he was just my favorite player. If you grew up in the Bay Area, Mark McGwire was even more popular than Barry Bonds, and that was my guy. So I always love little Mark McGwire pieces of news. I got some trivia for you, and this is going to be for you, Andrew, to play as well. Who holds the AL/NL record for consecutive quality starts in a single season? There's a lot of interesting names out there. I don't want to give any hints, but the consecutive AL/NL record for quality starts. Quite a big number. You got any guesses?
Oh God, that's such a hard question. I mean,
I'll
quality
unveil a couple
starts. It's
hints.
like
I'll
you could be
unveil a
giving
couple
up 3
hints.
runs every time and keep it going.
Yeah, well, you know what? Yeah, one you might think of. Remember, not Zach Gallen. Zach Gallen had that run of like 13 or 14, I think, in 2019. That was one of those guys. This number is over 20. That's a hint I'm giving you. Over
Um,
20.
the thing that just came to mind, and I know this isn't the answer, but it reminded me of Oral Hershiser's like consecutive scoreless inning stretch. But I know it's probably not someone that far
It's
back, right?
not. No, David guessed Bob Gibson. Incorrect. Mike Musina from Wonky.
Pedro
That's
Martinez.
incorrect. That's a great guess. Incorrect. It is
Hmm.
not Pedro. How about one more hint for everybody? So I've given you the relative number. It's over 20. It has happened within the last 5 years.
Hmm. Is it DeGrom?
It is DeGrom. And
Oh, right. There we go.
slipped when I was trying to say Gallon because I was looking at it. Jacob DeGrom, 24 quality starts in 2018. DeGrom is pitching today. That's why that popped up. By the way, well, another fun thing, the books, at least when maybe there might be a singular book or two, and it just hasn't updated on the Betting Pros cheat sheet. I see no numbers on the DeGrom strikeout numbers. And I think we saw an absurd asinine like 9.5 for DeGrom, which I've never seen all season long, that they're just not even placing DeGrom on the books anymore. But 24 straight quality starts. That is like, I don't know. I feel like that's one of the most impressive singular things a guy can do. I think 24 quality starts is in line with like 50 straight games with a hit. Or am I off here?
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. And it's interesting because it's, some of these pitchers, you associate them with their dominance, and that stat is less about dominance and more about consistency. So when you have the dominance and the consistency, then you are truly a great pitcher.
Wonky, you're just being mean today. Why are you so salty? Says I thought if it was DeGrom, it would be over like a 6 year span. You're just being rude. Let's not talk bad about the best pitcher in baseball, regardless if he gets hurt. Let's be positive today. I don't feel good. I need all of the positivity for Jacob DeGrom. Stat heroes. Jose Ramirez, 2 homers, 3 for 3, 3 RBI, huge day. Nathaniel or Nate Lowe. Actually, I remember I was right. I was standing next to him over at Rangers camp during spring training, and someone asked him, "They're like, do you want to be called Nathaniel?" And he was just like, "Buddy, I don't care what you call me. Call me whatever you want, Nate, Nathaniel." So I don't know why they've stuck with the Nathaniel because he doesn't care. But Nathaniel Lowe, homer, 5 RBIs. Matt Olson, 3 for 5 with a homer, 4 RBIs. Willie Adames, 3 for 4 with a homer. Hunter Renfroe was on the prop sheet yesterday. He had a bomb, 3 for 5 with a couple RBIs. Austin Barnes, we'll talk about him in a minute, had a homer. JT Realmuto, 3 for 5 with a homer, continuing that maybe number one catcher spot. We talked about that last time Andrew was on with the Adley versus Realmuto. Franchi had a homer. William Contreras had a homer. Corey Seager did not, but he went 2 for 4, 2 RBIs, and 3 runs. Anybody up on this list jump out to you in their performances lately? Lowe, Renfro. There's a couple lesser owned guys. Franchi Cordero is kind of interesting. Probably not as owned in as many leagues as we think.
Yeah, I mean, I think with Lowe, it's just he's one of these guys that kind of flies under the radar a little bit. He doesn't really excel in any one statistical category or anything like that. He's just the classic guy that chips away and gives you solid numbers everywhere. His batting average is up to 295 now, and he's got 20 home runs, decent run and RBI production. So even though he's not doing stolen bases, like he's just a really solid across the board provider of fantasy goodness.
Cole Irvin was a monster yesterday. Went 7, gave up only 3 hits, struck out 11. What a performance. What a back half of the year. I have him on a couple squads just holding up the rotation when anything goes wrong. Kyle Wright had 8 strikeouts in 7. Framber 7 with 8 Ks. Shane McClanahan 9 strikeouts, 6 innings. Cal Quantrill 7 with 6 strikeouts, 5 hits and a walk. Someone was asking me this last night. How much dynasty like ranking do you do, Andrew?
Not a ton, but I do play in such formats, so I'm always thinking about it.
From a value perspective, where's McClanahan as like a dynasty SP for you? Think of age and everything like that. Is he 1, 2, 3 further down You probably have guys like obviously Corbin Burns is going to be on that list, Sandy Alcantara. I don't Dylan Cease, and then after that, like you can't really put like you're going to put Verlander, DeGrom, maybe Cole. Like where do you think he sits on a dynasty SP rank?
I think he needs to be pretty high up. I know he's gone through a little bit of a rough stretch recently, but you still look at his numbers for the season and they're phenomenal. I mean, walk rate under 2 K per 9, over 11, 2.20 ERA, great pitches in a great pitcher's park. He's 25 years old, so just really entering the prime of his career. So he'd be right up at the top for me. I will say that depending on your format, I don't worry about age as much for pitchers as I do for hitters when it comes to keeper and dynasty value, because you just don't know the longevity of pitchers' careers. I mean, we've seen a lot of these guys flame out early, and then we see guys like Scherzer that just keep going strong, and Verlander that go strong to the very end of their career, So,
who would get like a bump in your mind? Like I feel like that you're making a case for like Garrett Cole potentially being still at the top. Like I still don't see how you could like I actually rank like the Scherzers and DeGroms like a little bit high in Dynasty, but they're not like remotely close to SP5 or anything like that.
Oh, I agree. I'm more saying that like generally speaking, like I just don't factor in age quite as much for pitchers as I do for hitters when I'm comparing different players.
Yeah, and I think I think you're right about that. Like I think what a hitter declines at 31 is a pitcher declining at 37 or something like that.
Yeah, so, and imagine if you sold Verlander like when he was 33 or something like that,
yeah.
I mean, I know he just missed the entire season, but like you would have missed a lot of good seasons out of him.
Yeah, that's true. On your stat zeros, Teoscar Hernandez, good old 0 for 4 with 4 straight Ks. Your 3 strikeouts and 0 fors. Rowdy Tellez was 0 for 5 with 3 strikeouts. Ohtani 0 for 4 with 3. Evan Longoria, 3 Ks. Brian Anderson, Nolan Gorman, and Jose Miranda, all big 3 strikeout performances, if you want to call them performances. On the pitcher side, Jose Arena, who, what do we need, like 3 strikeouts on the prop? He got 1, walked 3, gave up 9 hits, 9 earned runs, did not get out of the second inning. TJ Zeuch, 2 2/3. I feel like he's on this every time he pitches. 6 earned runs, 7 hits. Blake Snell didn't get to the 4th, gave up 6 earned runs, 4 walks, no Ks. Oh, man. And Adrian Hauser, 2 1/3, 5 earned runs, 4 walks, 4 Ks, no bueno. Logan Webb as well, 4 2/3, 6 earned runs, 6 strikeouts. The home run calls yesterday, Wonky gave us the Respect Your Elders bonus. You just got to pick somebody who's over 32 to hit a homer, and it looks like we got 1. Waking Life called Austin Barnes, who 32 years old, to hit a homer, and they got a bonus, but the overall board did not change at all. High Cubby is still at 46. D Blum is at 45. Go Cards at 43. Mayer and Terry at 42. And Cat Fox at 41. Still 6 people with 40 or plus homers. It is anybody's race because none of the bonuses helped. 2 others called. Okay, so that 2 others called Altuve too. So there were a couple. Wonky was just giving me a note of like someone called Austin Barnes, and that was incredible. So good for them. I like it. Over on the betting. Oh, you know what? I was going to open up a brand new one. Should I open up one real quick? Let's do this. Bear with me. Were you here for the, Andrew, were you here for the tiaras?
I was there when you put on the tiara, yeah.
All right. We have a brand new game used tiara right here. If you guys are watching, we're wearing blue. Oh, this one works really well for me. This is a good look for me, actually, because we want you to go make some bets over at BetMGM. Use the promo code leading off, and you guys are going to get hooked up today. $1,000 risk-free first bet. Go and sign up. Use your app. Go on the website. Do whatever you got to do. Kings and queens, princesses and kings, whatever you wear, whether it's a crown or tiara, they got you hooked up. We've got a nice new game used here. There you go, my friends. I've got some bets for you. The top total base play, the top money play, and then I've also got the other side of those. Oh, you know what? I screwed up on the hitting side. Well, I'm going to give you, let me see if I remember it. I do remember the other one. So the top play for the day for total bases on bettingpros.com MLB prop cheat sheet is Kyle Stowers, rookie, Baltimore, needs 1 hit against the White Sox. The juice isn't horrific. It's at minus 145. This is on DraftKings. He's projected almost 2.5. So there you go. The top plus money play, I copied it wrong, but I remember it was Yordan Alvarez, who is at 1.5, and it was plus 110, I want to say, and I think that was over at Sugar House. So Stowers is your top play. Jordan is your top plus play. On the pitching side, Drew Rasmussen against the Angels, he is the top strikeout play of all of them, and it's under 6.5 strikeouts. So you got to get under 6. They're projecting only 5. It's juiced at 139. And then your top plus play is Luis Garcia against Minnesota. The strikeouts are 5.5, and it is plus 110. He's projected at 6. So Andrew, you've got Luis Garcia, Drew Rasmussen, Jordan, and Kyle Stowers. What do you like out of this?
I mean, the Jordan one seems like pretty easy to me. I mean, that wasn't a huge number going against him.
Yesterday, I had a little hit prop, 3 parlay, because they had a boost on DraftKings, and I played it. I played Jordan as one of the 3, and I hit. So I had Gallen, Mullins, and him, and that was a nice little payday. He had 1 hit the other day, a double last night. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but his family's in town, so it's one of those things where it's like you use stupid logic to be like, his family for the first time ever is watching him play from Cuba in a major league stadium. You want to think he's going to show up, and he hit a double yesterday.
Cool. Well, my logic's just that he's a complete masher. So give me him.
So you like that one? Any of the others or no?
I'm not going on that Rasmussen one. I mean, he's exceeded 7 Ks in at least his last 2 starts. So he's missing a lot of bats right now. So I wouldn't want to bet the under on 6 right now with him.
You know, I will tell you, I think they're all getting really tough. All the numbers are getting really tough, but I do feel like betting pros, the unders have been hitting a little bit more. So just like monitor that. A lot of the overs, especially their top plays, the algorithm, I don't know if it's quite catching up and they're struggling a little bit, but the unders might be. So not that I'm interested in making that bet with Rasmussen, but I want to monitor it. I do want to monitor that one. Mm-hmm. Over on the DFS side, you've got only 2 teams today projected with 5 or more total team runs, and that's Philly and Toronto if you want to play any stacks. On the pitching side, a bunch of high price guys on FanDuel. DeGrom was at 12.5, Gossman is at 10.5, and Aaron Nola was at 10.8. I kind of like Nola. I think the matchup is the best if you're going to pay those high dollars. I mean, DeGrom is DeGrom. But like I said, if you want to go on the DFS side for Philly-Toronto lineup stacks, I mean, I like Schwarber today. I think there's a bunch you can play into. And there's some other high-end, bad matchups that you can exploit, but there's some pitching, there's some hitting. And that actually takes us to the home run board here. Andrew, what are you going to do today? There's no extra bonuses. What do you got?
I'm going back to the Paul Goldschmidt well. It didn't work for me last time, but I got a good feeling this time. He's facing Marcus Stroman. He's hit 3 bombs in 13 at-bats against Stroman over his career, 462 batting average, couple, a double in there as well. So he's been making a lot of hard contact over his career against Marcus Stroman. And of course, he's having a turn back the clock kind of season. So I'm going to keep riding the Goldschmidt train.
Looks like Wonky has got Franmil, and I'm going to go with Schwarbs. I'm going to go with Schwarbs against the high ERA of Justin Dunn. That is what I like. And Positive Grouch wants us to know that they called out Jose Altuve. So I incorrectly said that there were no other old man homers, but there were. There was Altuve in them. Friendos, that is it. I didn't realize. I've been wearing this the whole time.
Just keep it on.
I usually take them right off. Gonna start coughing. That was good stuff. As you can tell, I'm still recovering a little bit. I'm feeling a lot better though. So thank you guys for hanging out. Thank you guys for choosing us over that turncoat rat Joe Pisapia, who is doing live stream football on the other side while we sit here and still burn through. Okay, I wasn't sure if Dr. Glenn was here. So Dr. Glenn, I didn't get out of the 5th. Okay, I don't understand the logic. No earned runs. I walked 3. And I didn't strike anybody out. So Dr. Glenn is saying this was a bad performance by me today. So apologies that it was a bad performance. I don't think I kind of disagree with the manager here on the stat call. I think I got some rough lines here. I don't think it was great, but I do think I had a couple strikeouts, 110 pitches. I went deep. Thank you, Dr. Glenn, and thank you, Brian. I am grinding and should be a lot better next week. Friends, that is it. Chris Clegg is going to be with us tomorrow. Andrew, you're going to be back on Monday, correct?
That's right.
Boom. That's all we got. Good luck in all your matchups. You know where to find us right here on Fantasy Pros. We out of here, my friends.